This is the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose, where I strategize with business owners on how to grow and scale their businesses to hit their income goals. This is episode 413 of the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose. Today, we're going to be jumping into how to effectively run a sales meeting to earn more with brands with Alexandria. And we are going to be jumping into this in great depth. Now, whether you are looking to work with a brand for sponsored content because you are a food blogger, or because you are a therapist and you run a virtual summit, or you have a podcast, you are going to want to make sure that you listen in to this episode. You're going to gain a ton of great information that can even help those that are looking to do sales meetings for one-on-one coaching as well. There's a ton of value in this. Now, before we get into that, I want to make sure that if you haven't already grabbed our pitching guide, that you do so. You can head over to the show notes or pop right into your podcasting app and download that guide for yourself. All right, y'all, let's jump into this episode. Hi, Alexandra. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hi, Jenny. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, we are really going to jump into how to effectively run a sales meeting to earn more with brands. But before we actually do that, will you introduce yourself and your business to my audience?
Yes, I will. My name is Alexandria, and I run a food blog called The Foreign Fork, where I'm cooking a meal from every country in the world. So I started my blog back in 2018. I had graduated college a semester early, and it was before all recruiting started for jobs. And so I had some time to spare. So I spent about 6 months backpacking across Europe. I went to 15 different countries by myself, and it was absolutely incredible and so much fun. And when I did that, I wanted to kind of have a common through line in each country as a way to learn about them all. So I decided that I was going to take cooking classes in each country. And it was honestly the best. I'd always loved to cook, but I really found out when I was doing that there's so much that you can learn about a country through its food. The food shows you the culture and the customs and the religion, the geography, the history, like all of that is impacted by food. And I loved that so much. So I came home and started a food blog where I was cooking a meal from every country in the world. And that was kind of my side project while I started my full-time job in sales. And so I did some sales training for about 2 years, had a very successful career in sales. I was one of the top sales reps in the country every quarter, and won a few trips for being one of the top sales reps in the country and the world. But eventually I left that to take the Foreign Fork full time, and I've been doing it full time since 2021 and using my sales skills to help in the Foreign Fork success. So
yes, I love it. Okay, very good. All right, so let's really just kind of jump right into this, have a conversation about how we can make sure that when we are trying to reach out to brands, that we take advantage of all that's offered. So
yes.
How important is it to research a brand's values and products before meeting or reaching out to them? And how does that research actually shape the conversation?
Yes, definitely. It is very important to be doing your research ahead of time, not only for your success in the meeting, but doing proper research and using that in your conversation with the brand prior to your meeting is going to help you get the meeting too. So brands get lots of just emails and DMs. I really like your product. Can we work together kind of thing? And after a while, I'm sure that gets boring for them. But if you're really doing your research and learning like specifically what kind of launches they have coming up, or what products they're trying to push right now, who their competitors are and how they're setting themselves apart, those kinds of things, you can use that in your pitch to them to really kind of stand out and show that you know more about their product and their business than other people that are reaching out to them. And so hopefully that will give you kind of a step ahead when you're trying to get the meeting. But then in addition to that, it will fully form your conversation with them in the meeting, because you want to make sure that you are speaking to them in a way that shows that you care about their specific business and how you can use that knowledge to use your special skills and their special goals and work together to come up with a customized partnership that will benefit both of you. And so having that information and learning about their business and researching about it beforehand will kind of lead the conversation in the right direction.
Yes, I always recommend looking at their tagline, seeing what their values are through that, and then also looking at their about and seeing what their mission is. That you can learn so much about a business and where their values are when you actually take the time to understand who the founders are, why they actually started it, so you can align with them. I love that.
Yes,
Can you
exactly.
actually share any techniques to establish a rapport quickly with brand reps who are new to you?
Yes. So, in a framework that I teach in my course that's coming up, there's we talk about the 6 steps of the sale, and building rapport is actually the first step of the sale because selling to someone starts way before you actually start the conversation about business. So the first way to get someone to buy from you is getting someone to like you, and so the first step of the sale, building rapport, is so much more important than people generally think, because you want to make sure that they feel connected to you on a personal level and that they know and like you as a person. So, some tips for building rapport, I would say just in the same way that you're researching the business before you get on, I would also try and research the person that you're going to be talking to. For example, I just worked with a brand who the representative that I was talking to lived in South Africa. Like I looked her up on LinkedIn, saw that she was located in South Africa. And so some questions that I asked at that point in time were like, tell me about your favorite things to do in South Africa. I've always wanted to visit. And we kind of connected over things that were totally outside of business. So you can ask them about their weekend. You can ask them about how they got into this role and talk about those kinds of things. Just anything that is not connected to business, but that you can find common ground on, that you can kind of form a personal relationship with them before you get into the nitty-gritty work stuff.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought up LinkedIn because I think that a lot of us have a tendency to ignore LinkedIn because we assume, oh, we got to be on Instagram, we got to do Facebook with TikTok, all the things. When in
Right.
reality, if you are trying to make that one-to-one personal relationship with someone, their LinkedIn profile will give you all of the goods.
Yes. Yes,
So I
exactly.
love
I don't
that.
know why I always even and I feel like a lot of people do this, they feel a little intimidated by LinkedIn, but I don't know for why that exists inside me. I push through it. I go on LinkedIn anyway because it is very valuable. But I would encourage people to, if you're feeling kind of intimidated by LinkedIn, push through that and you can go and see so much about a person. A lot of ways that you can build rapport with them from their LinkedIn profile.
Yes, yes. I think the fear with LinkedIn often comes from we think of it as corporate. And
Yeah.
as so many of us are small businesses, entrepreneurs, we're intimidated by that fact, thinking that we're not worthy enough to be on LinkedIn and be having those conversations. When in reality, it's the perfect place when you're trying to pitch a corporate brand
Yeah.
to make those connections.
Yeah.
So, how do you actually effectively present your value proposition to a brand?
Good question. So I think that is the piece where most people tend to think the bulk of the sales meeting comes in. So when a content creator is going to work with a brand and they think about how to run a sales meeting, mostly they think about how do I tell them about myself and then how do I close the deal. But there's so many pieces of the system that have to be in place effectively for you to have an effective presentation and close. So I would say that in order to effectively present your solution, you actually have to start the process far before you actually get to the point where you are telling them what you do. So a way to effectively kind of present your value proposition is to spend time asking the brand, like the majority of the meeting, spend time asking the brand questions about themselves. You want to ask them what their goals are for this campaign, what successful campaigns they've had in the past, what competitors they are trying to outshine and ways that they'd like to do that. There are a lot of questions that you can ask the brand and spend the majority of the time learning about them because you're not going to be able to effectively communicate your value until you know what is valuable to them. So spend the majority of your meeting probing, learning questions about their goals, their dreams, their history, what they're looking for. And then once you have that, you can think of yourself more as a consultant kind of, rather than just somebody trying to sell your service. You can take those answers to those questions that they have given you, think about your services in your own head, and what would genuinely be the best thing that you can offer to that brand that aligns with the answers to all of those questions that they told you. And then kind of pull into the conversation, into your presentation, some things that they had said in the probing step of the sale. So if they told you that their goal is to reach a younger audience, when you're presenting your solution, you can tell them, like, I work with brands on TikTok. I know you said you wanted to reach a younger audience. This is where my younger audience lies. Those kinds of things where you pull in what they mentioned into your presentation, that makes it feel like a more tailored solution to them.
I love that.
Hey there, guys. My name is Melanie from Mostly Under Control, and I am a member of Jenny's Influencer Entrepreneurs Insiders membership. I've been a part of it since 2017, and over these 6 years, I've taken full advantage of the weekly trainings that Jenny offers and the monthly group coaching. The group coaching is probably my favorite part of the membership. Jenny has taught me so many things for my business. She helped me niche down and write and teach about what I wanted so that I wouldn't burn out. In addition to what she teaches, the networking I've done with other members has been invaluable. I recommend her membership to all of my online business owner friends because it is worth every single penny.
So now you're talking with the probing questions and being able to utilize what they're giving back to you. So how do you turn what they're giving you into showing them that they're going to understand their ROI or the return on investment in working with you? How do you use it that way? Because I think what I have found is that a lot of clients will struggle with this piece because it's the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think, again, I was just going to say, I think that that's something that a lot of people struggle with too. So you can pull in past examples of success that you have had. So I love in my presentation step to have a visual document that I share with them. So a lot of times I'm meeting with brands on like Google Meets or Zoom or something like that. I will, at the time that I'm presenting my service, I will, first of all, have a couple of different pieces of collateral available at the bottom of my screen that, based on our conversation, I will choose which one fits them and then pull that up and present it to them. And in that presentation, I will often have analytics of past success that I've had with clients, or how this collaboration that we did increased their engagement on their post by 40% over their usual, or I will have screenshots of past DMs or comments that I've gotten where someone has used that product that I have promoted and then left a good review about it. Those kinds of things that show like actual social proof and success of previous work that I've done with other brands, and kind of put that in like a graph format or something along those lines that kind of fits the data that I'm wanting to show, and make sure that they have a visual where they can actually see that as opposed to just verbally saying it to them.
Yes, so smart. And you're going to be collecting those anyways to be able to give that back to the brands that you've already worked with to show the value of working with you and continuing a long-term relationship.
Yes,
So,
exactly. So you should already have like a folder in your phone with screenshots of those things, or a Google Drive where you keep track of all of the analytics so that you can pull ones that would impress the brand that you're talking with right now.
Okay, so I'm glad you said analytics. What metrics or KPIs do you actually recommend tracking to measure the success of the brand partnership when it's initiated through the sales meeting?
Yes. So after I, work with a brand and we move forward with a video or a posting or whatever, I will send them a campaign insights report after the campaign is over that kind of walks through, like we just mentioned, walks through the analytics of the campaign. So things I look for are reach, click-throughs, comments. Again, I love adding screenshots of specific good comments, because I think that that's so valuable for a brand to see, like, good comments that they actually received. But I'd say some important KPIs to look for are reach, click-throughs, and yes, engagement on the post. especially if you can see like how many link clicks there were, that's a really good piece of data to give them.
Yes, absolutely. So what advice would you give to sales professionals looking to improve their approach to brand meetings?
Yes. So I would say the most important thing to do is kind of learn how to be comfortable running a sales meeting and then practice it before you're actually speaking to the brand. So just a broad overview. I will walk you through just very quickly what the 6 steps of the sale are. And then we can kind of talk through how you can practice that. So step 1 of the sale we already talked about is building rapport. So that's where you kind of connect with the brand or the representative on a personal level and build your personal connection with them. Step 2 is setting the agenda. So this is where you kind of take control of the meeting and tell the brand how you'd like the meeting to go so that they kind of know that they're following your lead in this meeting. Step 3 is the executive overview, where you spend some time very briefly. This is like a small piece, but an important piece where you kind of talk about yourself and your experience and why you are the best person for the job. So this is a good place to kind of brag about yourself, give some good analytics, tell your history with your business, and some ways that you've really successfully worked with partnerships in the past, so that they go into this meeting knowing that you're the right person for this job and that they're impressed by your history. Then step 4 is the probing set that we talked about, where you ask them lots of questions about themselves, go into it having a list of questions that you want to ask, but of course you can also adjust those based on the way that your conversation is going. Step 5 is presenting your solution. That's where I encourage doing a lot of visuals. And then step 6 is the close. So I would kind of, if you have a pen and paper right now, write down those steps and then go through and actually practice those things, because it's easy to just hear me talk about it right now, but actually going through the process of running through the entire 6 steps of the sale in a meeting feels uncomfortable at first until you have enough practice to get comfortable with it. And I would really recommend not having your first time trying it be the next time you want to talk to a brand. So sit down with a partner or a friend or whomever and take that framework that I just laid out and do a practice run and make sure that you feel really comfortable with those kinds of things. And in addition to that, I also do have a course where we run through those steps of the sale, go into them way more in depth, and have a lot of a practice element there too. So there's 2 options.
Out of all of your 6 steps, I think the most intimidating one to most people is going to be the close, because it comes with a level of confidence that a lot of us kind of like try to make ourselves smaller because we don't want to feel like we're being overly salesy. Can you give one tip that has helped you in closing?
Yes. I will say, first of all, fake it till you make it. So it is uncomfortable, it is intimidating, but this is your time to be bold and confident and to truly believe in your value and your pricing. Because if you can lay it down confidently, the brand is going to pick up on that. If you are very timid and like scared to lay down your pricing, the brand is going to pick up on that and not think that you are worth your value. So I would say that's one thing. And then the other thing is that closing becomes easy when you do the other 5 steps first. If you just go into it and you have like a 5-minute meeting and you rattle off the way you work with brands, and then you say, okay, do you want to work together? Do you want to do an Instagram post? Like that will probably not go over very well. But if you know the framework to like actually going through the first 5 steps, the 6th step becomes easy because you've already spent time making a personal connection with them, showing that you're the one that's taking control of this meeting. They already know that you are a great person in this field to be working with because you've bragged about yourself. Then they've spent time telling you what they want and you've tied that into your offering. So when you do all of that, the 6th step becomes easier because you've already like teed up this entire conversation to be you caring about them and then building value. And so when it comes to the 6th step, you can present your solution confidently, present your pricing confidently, and then talk past the sale and kind of be assumptive in the decision that they would want to work together and tell them what that would look like, because it's a lot easier to do that when you've already communicated your value very well.
Yes. So would you recommend giving them a timeline as far as like when you can get started? I could see that as being an easy transition into being able to close with them. We can get started. I could have this content as soon as whatever date, it's set up and ready to go.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different types of close techniques. There's like, I don't know, I think I teach like 15 of them in my class of ways that you can go about presenting your solution and then giving them your pricing and going into the close right from there. The one that you mentioned is the calendar close. So that's kind of where look at the calendar ahead of you and figure out what the timing would be and speak to it kind of assumptively based off of the time of the year. For example, we're recording this end of September. And so it's a good time to be like, Q4 starting soon. My calendar is going to fill up. I want to get this ready for you before, November comes around. We want to make sure that we're working together at the beginning of the quarter, those kinds of things. So yes, I would say that that is one really effective way that you can close, but there are also a lot of other ones that based off of your specific comfortability with them, you figure out what feels natural to you and then go with that. But my favorite is the calendar close, actually.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, perfect. So now you offer a probing guide to be able to use during the meeting. Can you tell us a little bit about it? We're going to make sure that it's obviously linked in the blog post, as well as being able to grab it if they want to send me a DM and ask for the probing guide. I will make sure to send it directly to them. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we talked about how the fourth step of the sale is probing and learning about the person that you're sitting in front of so that you can effectively tailor your solution. So the probing guide walks you through 5 of the most common types of probing questions, impact question, needs assessment questions, those kinds of things, and then gives you examples. Specifically in the probing guide, it's examples of a photographer trying to sell their services to a food blogger, but it is the exact same framework for every single type of conversation that you're having. So it walks you through the 5 types of questions that you should be asking, and then some examples so that you can learn how to tailor that to the meetings that you're going into.
Excellent. Perfect. We will make sure to link to that. Alexandria, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me and my audience. I just appreciate you so much.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I love talking about this kind of stuff. So it was really fun to have this conversation and get to share with your audience. I hope it helps.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it. I hope by now you've already gone and grabbed Alexandria's probing guide that is going to help you with those probing questions that you should be asking during a sales meeting. As always, we appreciate you so much for listening in. If you haven't already left a rating and review, we would appreciate it if you took the time to do it, as well as make sure that if you haven't grabbed our pitching guide, that you do so. All right, y'all. Until next time, I will see you all then.